Men, pay attention. If a woman isn't calling or texting you, it doesn't automatically mean she's lost interest. In fact, her silence can communicate far more than constant messaging ever could. Many men misinterpret this behavior and panic, overcompensate, or make mistakes that kill attraction. Understanding why women sometimes hold back communication is crucial if you want to maintain control, preserve your value, and keep her intrigued. Silence is a tool in female psychology. Women are wired to assess a man's worth not just by what he says, but by how he carries himself when she isn't giving attention. When she stops initiating calls or texts, it's often a reflection of curiosity, testing, or emotional evaluation, not always disinterest. A woman may be gauging how independent you are, how confident you remain in your own life, or whether you will chase needily. How you respond to her silence is far more important than the silence itself. This guide will break down 7 key insights into why women sometimes don't reach out, what it means psychologically, and how your behavior can amplify or diminish her attraction. Each section reveals patterns in modern female psychology, giving you clarity on how to interpret her actions without jumping to conclusions. Understanding these signals allows you to navigate the dating world with confidence, self-respect, and strategic awareness. Many men make the mistake of assuming silence equals rejection. They bombard her with messages, overanalyze every delay, or behave desperately. Women pick up on neediness and attachment, which kills attraction faster than her actual lack of contact. By understanding her silence and responding with calm confidence, you create an emotional dynamic that increases her curiosity, respect, and desire for you. 1. She's testing your independence. The first reason a woman may not call or text you is that she's testing your independence. Women are naturally attracted to men who have their own lives, ambitions, and priorities. When a man's attention is too easy to obtain, it can diminish perceived value, making him less intriguing. By holding back communication, she's observing whether you can remain confident and self-sufficient without constantly seeking her validation. This test is subtle but powerful. If you respond to her silence with panic, over-texting, or excessive attempts to reconnect, you signal neediness and emotional dependence. These behaviors are unattractive because they suggest that your emotional state is tied entirely to her actions. Conversely, a man who remains composed, focuses on his own life, and does not overreact communicates strength and self-assurance. Women pick up on this instantly, and their interest often increases when they realize that you are not dependent on their attention. Independence also means having social, professional, and personal engagements outside of her sphere. A man with a rich life signals high value, and his limited availability naturally sparks curiosity. Women are drawn to men whose attention must be earned because it activates their desire to engage, invest, and pursue. Silence becomes a tool for her to measure how much of a priority you truly are, and how capable you are of maintaining your life without letting her inordinate influence dictate your happiness. Another reason she may not reach out is to see if you respect boundaries. Women often want a man who can interact with confidence while honoring space and autonomy. By withholding communication temporarily, she evaluates whether you respect her rhythm and whether you can exercise restraint without feeling rejected or abandoned. Men who respond with calm confidence and do not flood her with messages pass this test, whereas men who act impulsively or desperately fail it. It's important to remember that this testing phase is not necessarily about you personally. It's about how she perceives emotional stability and self-worth. She is assessing whether you are the kind of man who can handle uncertainty gracefully, maintain your composure, and continue to pursue your life goals independently. Your response to this silence sets the tone for her desire and the future dynamics of the relationship. Ultimately, her silence in this context is a sign of interest, not disinterest. It is an opportunity for you to demonstrate value through self-confidence, independence, and emotional stability. Men who understand this principle turn her tests into attraction because they know how to maintain composure, preserve boundaries, and continue to live a fulfilling life outside her attention. 2. She wants to see your reaction. Another key reason a woman doesn't call or text is that she's observing your reaction. Women are naturally attuned to emotional signals, and your behavior during periods of silence reveals more about your value than any words ever could. She wants to know whether you remain confident, self-assured, and composed, or whether you fall into neediness, overthinking, or desperation. How you respond to her silence is critical. Men who panic, send multiple messages, or beg for attention immediately signal dependency and insecurity. Women perceive this as low value because it suggests your happiness and self-worth are tied to their availability. Conversely, men who maintain their composure, engage selectively, and focus on their own lives demonstrate emotional maturity and independence. These traits are incredibly attractive because they communicate strength, stability, and self-respect. Her observation is subtle but deliberate. Women notice patterns. Do you overreact to delays? Do you chase validation? Or do you stay grounded, confident, and engaged on your terms? When a woman sees that her silence doesn't destabilize you, it creates intrigue and even increases her emotional investment. She realizes that your attention is earned and not given automatically, which naturally makes your presence more desirable. This dynamic also allows her to measure boundaries. By withholding communication, she gauges whether you respect space and whether you can navigate uncertainty without emotional turmoil. Men who respond appropriately by focusing on personal goals, social connections, or productive activities pass this test effortlessly. Their behavior demonstrates that they are high-value men who prioritize their own life over chasing attention. Another factor is curiosity. Silence sparks the mind. When a woman sees that you are not constantly available, she starts to wonder what you are doing, who you are, and why you aren't preoccupied with her attention. This mental engagement makes her think about you more, subtly increasing desire and attraction. Over-communicating or overreacting, on the other hand, eliminates this curiosity because everything about you becomes predictable and easy to access. Ultimately, her silence is not always a negative signal. It is an opportunity for you to showcase emotional intelligence, patience, and self-sufficiency. Men who understand that women observe and respond to behavior, not just words, can turn quiet periods into powerful tools of attraction. By remaining calm, independent, and selective, you communicate high value naturally, which enhances desire, respect, and long-term interest. 3. She is assessing your value. A third reason a woman may not call or text is that she is assessing your value. Women are naturally drawn to men who demonstrate high self-worth, competence, and confidence. When you are unavailable or maintain a life independent of her attention, she begins to evaluate your qualities and the potential benefits of being with you. Silence is often a testing ground for this assessment. When a man constantly chases, overcommunicates, or seeks reassurance, it signals low value. Women instinctively recognize this behavior, and it diminishes attraction because it shows emotional dependence and insecurity. Conversely, a man who does not overreact to her silence signals stability, independence, and a high level of self-respect. These traits are highly attractive because they indicate that his happiness is not contingent on her, making him appear more desirable. Her assessment is both conscious and subconscious. Consciously, she may be noticing the way you handle your life, social interactions, and priorities. Subconsciously, she is evaluating your confidence, self-control, and ability to manage emotional tension. Men who maintain composure, follow their ambitions, and engage selectively create a perception of high value that women cannot ignore. The more she perceives your independence, the more she is drawn to you because your attention becomes something worth earning. Another aspect of this assessment is observing how you handle other women and social situations. A man who engages respectfully but maintains boundaries does not overcommit emotionally and demonstrates confidence in social settings signals that he is a man of quality. Women notice this and are naturally attracted to men who are selective and deliberate with their attention because it confirms high value without words. This evaluation process also tests your resilience. Women want to know whether a man can withstand uncertainty without losing his composure or self-worth. Your ability to remain grounded when she is silent communicates that you are emotionally mature and capable of maintaining stability in relationships. It shows that your value is inherent, not dependent on external validation, which is incredibly magnetic. Ultimately, women use silence as a tool to gauge your worth because it forces you to demonstrate independence, self-confidence, and composure. Men who understand this dynamic can use it to their advantage, showing their high value through actions, behavior, and consistent emotional control. The more you embody these qualities, the more she is likely to recognize your value, increase her interest, and invest emotionally in the connection. 4. She wants to see if you'll chase. Another reason a woman doesn't call or text is to see if you will chase her, and more importantly, how you chase. Women are drawn to men who are self-assured, confident, and selective with their attention. If a man pursues her needily, overcommunicates, or begs for interaction, it signals low value and dependency, which decreases attraction. Her silence is a test to observe whether you can maintain composure and boundaries while she evaluates your desirability. Chasing in the wrong way, through constant messaging, overanalyzing delays, or attempting to control her behavior, lowers your perceived value instantly. Women can sense desperation from a mile away, and it triggers a decrease in attraction. On the other hand, a man who focuses on his life, maintains his social circles, and engages selectively demonstrates self-respect and independence. This type of confident behavior encourages curiosity and desire because she sees that your attention is earned, not given automatically. The psychology behind this is rooted in the principle of scarcity. When your attention is not always available, she begins to value the moments when you do engage. This scarcity makes her feel the need to invest effort and consideration, creating natural emotional tension that fuels attraction. Men who are unavailable in a confident, balanced way generate a magnetic pull that women find hard to resist. Her observation is also about measuring emotional strength. Silence allows her to see if you can tolerate uncertainty without becoming destabilized. Men who remain calm, grounded, and emotionally independent pass this test effortlessly. They signal that they are in control of their emotions and not dependent on her responses for validation or self-worth. Women are instinctively drawn to men who can maintain this level of emotional maturity because it demonstrates high value, stability, and reliability. Additionally, this test measures whether you prioritize your life goals and ambitions. Men who continue to focus on their personal growth, work, hobbies, and social interactions while she is silent demonstrate that their lives are fulfilling without relying solely on her attention. This is incredibly attractive because it communicates independence, self-sufficiency, and authenticity. Ultimately, her silence is not rejection. It is an opportunity to display high-value traits through action and presence. By not chasing desperately, maintaining boundaries, and engaging selectively, you reinforce your desirability. Women are drawn to men who are confident enough to remain independent and composed, while still creating moments of meaningful connection. Her lack of calls or texts is a test, and how you respond determines whether she deepens her attraction or loses interest. 5. She is focusing on her own life. A fifth reason a woman doesn't call or text you is that she is focusing on her own life. Women, like men, have priorities, responsibilities, and personal goals. Her silence doesn't necessarily reflect disinterest. It often means she's dedicating time and energy to other areas of her life, whether it's career, family, friendships, or personal growth. Understanding this is critical because overreacting to her absence can undermine your value and attractiveness. Many men misinterpret a lack of communication as rejection. They panic, overanalyze, or try to force interaction, which signals neediness. In reality, a woman who is investing in her life is not sending a negative signal. She is demonstrating that she has boundaries, responsibilities, and self-respect. This independence is attractive because it mirrors the qualities men seek in themselves: discipline, ambition, and emotional stability. Responding with composure and patience instead of desperation communicates that you are a man of similar high standards. Her silence may also indicate that she's assessing compatibility. By stepping back from frequent communication, she evaluates whether you are capable of maintaining your life and priorities without being destabilized by her distance. Women want men who can engage confidently and selectively, rather than men who collapse emotionally when attention is not instant. If you can maintain focus on your own goals, social life, and personal growth, you signal stability, self-sufficiency, and strength, all traits that naturally increase attraction. Another factor is reflection. Silence allows both parties to evaluate feelings and intentions. She may be considering how she truly feels about you, what she values in the connection, and whether her actions are aligned with her long-term interests. Men who respect her space, maintain composure, and continue to live fulfilling lives create a dynamic where she reflects positively on the interactions she has with them. This makes your presence more desirable, and when she does reach out, her engagement is more meaningful and emotionally invested. Finally, her focus on her own life is a subtle test of your emotional independence. A man who reacts calmly, invests in personal growth, and maintains his confidence passes this test effortlessly. Women are instinctively attracted to men who demonstrate emotional maturity, independence, and stability. Her silence is not a threat. It's an opportunity for you to showcase these qualities and reinforce your high value naturally. Ultimately, when a woman doesn't call or text, it often reflects her priorities, not disinterest. By maintaining your own life, respecting boundaries, and engaging selectively, you increase attraction, build respect, and create a dynamic where she values your attention more deeply. Silence, in this sense, becomes a powerful tool to enhance your presence and desirability. 6. She wants to see if you're confident. Another major reason a woman doesn't call or text is to see if you're confident. Confidence is one of the most attractive traits a man can have, and silence gives her the opportunity to observe whether you possess it. Women are naturally drawn to men who are emotionally stable, self-assured, and independent of constant validation. If you react impulsively, overthink, or act desperate in response to her silence, you signal low confidence and insecurity, which diminishes attraction. Confidence is demonstrated through behavior, not words. A man who continues to focus on his life, engages in social interactions, and pursues goals without obsessing over whether she contacts him displays strength and independence. Women notice this immediately, and it increases respect, intrigue, and desire. Confidence communicates that your happiness and self-worth are inherent, not contingent on external approval or attention from her. Her silence also tests your ability to tolerate uncertainty. Life is full of unpredictability, and women want to see if a man can handle emotional ambiguity with composure. If you respond with over-texting, panic, or attempts to control the situation, it communicates that you are emotionally dependent, which is unattractive. Men who remain calm, composed, and self-assured in the face of uncertainty project strength, emotional maturity, and reliability, qualities that women find magnetic. Another important aspect of confidence is your ability to maintain boundaries. Women notice men who do not compromise their standards or chase attention recklessly. By staying true to your values and respecting both your own time and hers, you communicate that you are high value and selective with your attention. This reinforces attraction because it challenges her perception and keeps her engaged mentally and emotionally. Confidence also interacts with independence and scarcity. A man who maintains his own life and doesn't react emotionally to delayed communication is demonstrating that he has a fulfilling world outside of her attention. This scarcity makes him more desirable because she recognizes that access to his time, energy, and engagement must be earned. It naturally creates curiosity and intrigue, which increases emotional investment on her part. Ultimately, her lack of calls or texts is not necessarily a sign of disinterest. It's a subtle way for her to assess your confidence and emotional stability. Men who understand this dynamic turn silence into an advantage. By remaining grounded, focusing on personal growth, and maintaining boundaries, you signal self-assuredness that women find compelling. Silence in this context becomes a tool to demonstrate value, increase attraction, and build deeper emotional investment without needing to chase or overcompensate. 7. She wants to see if you're high value. The seventh reason a woman doesn't call or text is to determine whether you are a high-value man. Women are naturally drawn to men who demonstrate qualities such as confidence, independence, self-respect, and emotional stability. When you are silent, engaged in your own life, and selective with your attention, you communicate that your worth is inherent and not dependent on constant validation. This makes you far more attractive than men who over-communicate, beg for attention, or compromise their standards. High-value men create a sense of scarcity and challenge without being manipulative. They live full, purpose-driven lives, pursue personal goals, and maintain social and professional connections outside of a woman's attention. This demonstrates independence, competence, and ambition, all of which women instinctively recognize and respect. When she doesn't call or text, she is observing whether you maintain this level of self-sufficiency and whether your life continues to thrive regardless of her engagement. Another way women assess value is by noticing how you handle emotional uncertainty. Silence tests your composure. Men who overreact, obsess over delayed responses, or constantly seek reassurance signal dependency and low self-esteem. High-value men, however, remain calm, focused, and confident in their own worth. This emotional maturity is magnetic because it shows that you are secure, reliable, and capable of handling relationship dynamics without being destabilized. Her silence also allows her to reflect on your worth in comparison to other men. Women unconsciously compare emotional availability, confidence, and life direction. By not chasing her or being overly available, you set yourself apart as someone rare, intriguing, and challenging to secure. This selective presence creates desire because she begins to recognize that your attention is not automatically given. It must be earned. Finally, being high value means understanding the balance between attention and independence. When a woman notices that you are not dependent on her for happiness or validation, she is drawn to you more deeply. Your ability to engage meaningfully without compromising your standards creates emotional tension, curiosity, and investment. It also reinforces respect because it communicates that your self-worth is not dictated by anyone else's actions. Ultimately, her silence is an opportunity for you to demonstrate that you are a high-value man through your behavior, choices, and presence. Men who embrace this principle turn what could feel like rejection into attraction. By maintaining independence, confidence, self-respect, and composure, you naturally increase desirability, intrigue, and emotional investment. Women are drawn to men who signal that their attention and affection are earned, not freely given. When you embody these traits consistently, silence becomes a tool to deepen attraction, respect, and connection. Men, when a woman doesn't call or text, it's rarely a simple reflection of disinterest. Her silence is a window into female psychology. It reveals what she is observing, testing, and evaluating. Women want to see independence, confidence, high value, emotional stability, and the ability to maintain composure without constant reassurance. How you respond in these moments determines attraction, respect, and emotional investment. Many men misinterpret silence as rejection and react with panic, overcommunication, or neediness. These behaviors immediately lower perceived value because they signal dependency and insecurity. In contrast, men who remain focused on their own lives, maintain boundaries, and engage selectively demonstrate emotional intelligence, self-respect, and confidence. These traits are highly attractive and naturally increase a woman's desire to invest in the connection. Silence also creates curiosity, emotional tension, and scarcity. When a woman realizes that your attention is not guaranteed, she begins to reflect on her feelings, your value, and the dynamics of your relationship. This subtle push and pull engages her mind and emotions, making her more invested when she does interact with you. It's not manipulation. It's the natural effect of living as a high-value man who doesn't depend on constant validation. Ultimately, a woman's lack of calls or texts is an opportunity. It allows you to demonstrate your independence, confidence, and high value while she observes and assesses your worth. Men who understand this dynamic use silence to their advantage, building intrigue, respect, and desire without compromising their self-respect. By maintaining composure, focusing on personal growth, and engaging intentionally, you become the kind of man women notice, respect, and are naturally drawn to. Silence is not the absence of attraction. It can be the very catalyst that amplifies it. By mastering how to respond, you create a magnetic presence that keeps women interested, curious, and emotionally invested in ways that constant communication and chasing could never achieve.